Welcome to week 2. Alexia and I will be answering some of your questions from week 1. Along the way, we'll be sharing some extra hints and tips to help you to integrate filmmaking into your classroom practice.
We had a couple of questions about the one-shot films, not so much the content of the one-shot films, but the technicalities. So thanks to Jocelyn and Claire for those questions. Does it have to involve a stationary camera, for example? No, it doesn't need to involve a static camera. You can incorporate different movements or positions in there. The film can be as long or as short as you want, but really you're just aiming for a sort of maximum of 1 minute, really. Still needs careful planning. So we're not just hose piping, which is what we call where you're just picking up a camera and aiming it at something and hoping for the best. You still need to frame it really well. Think about the lighting, the sound. We called this in the first MOOC that we did, record and playback. So really, you've got a camera, you're pressing record, you're recording for X amount of time, stopping, playing it back, no editing, no adding in of music or anything like that. And the one-shot film is just really good for getting used to using the camera, really. You know, how to hold it, the timing that you need, the different skills that the students are going to, naturally develop as they're using these one-shot films. For example, teamwork, organisation, communication. And the most important thing is the learning objective. So it doesn't need to be a polished film. DIY jobs are absolutely fine as long as the learning objective that you've set them has been met. We had a couple of questions about the timetabling of filming and how to fit filming into an already really busy week. Thanks to Caroline and Susan for their questions on this. They asked how much time would a filming project like this take, and also particularly thinking about if you don't have adult resources to draw upon, if it's just yourself as the teacher in a class full of children and not so many cameras. So the one-shot film can be integrated into the week however you like, really. It can be as long or as short. It could take place in just one lesson. It could also take place over the period of a week. It may depend on at what stage in this process you're at, if you've done any filmmaking before or not. So really you need to have a think about the purpose that the one-shot filming is going to serve. Is it something that's is stimulating a topic at the beginning of the week, or is it consolidating understanding about a topic at the end of the week? You may wish to carry out the thinking and the planning throughout the week. When the learning is taking place on a Thursday, you could do the creating, which is the filming, and on the Friday, the evaluations, maybe taking some time after school on the Thursday to review the films yourself, so you can have some pointers just in case they get stuck. Also thinking about, you don't just have to have recording in pairs. You could have groups of 3. One is the camera person, 2 are appearing on the camera. You could have maybe 2 groups filming opposite ends of the classroom if you don't have adults to take them out of the classroom, while the rest of the class are engaged in sort of quieter complementary activities. Halfway through the lesson, they could then swap over, meaning it just takes one lesson, or it could take place on the next day, meaning you've got a maximum of 2 days in the week that you're doing that.
On the camera shots test your knowledge step, there was lots of discussion about the varied camera shots in the clip, and in particular the extreme close-up and the close-up. It can be quite challenging to find a clip that contains all of the basic camera shots, especially the extreme close-up. It's interesting to discuss with your learners why the extreme close-up may be used so fleetingly, or why the clip might not contain all of the camera shots. This reinforces the idea that camera shots are chosen with particular purpose and care, as your learners will be doing when they are completing their filmmaking projects. Some alternative activities you might like to try to get your learners used to using different camera shots is plugging in your tablet to your whiteboard and framing some of the students or objects to show particular camera shots, and for them to guess which one you have chosen. They can also work in pairs to complete this exercise as well, framing each other using their tablet. This can be a good exercise before they actually have the pressure of trying to complete the activity or brief that you have given them. You may also like to encourage your students to practice camera shots by using their hands or fingers for framing, and also cardboard frames. This gets them used to the process of framing objects and each other. We really enjoyed reviewing your one-shot storyboards on the Padlet wall this week. Some really great examples from across the UK curriculum and the wider world. It's obviously really important to engage your students with effective planning to complete their one-shot film. Some techniques that you might like to try are encouraging your students to draw stickmen, or to illustrate the setting or some of the key objects that they will have in their shot. They can also annotate and label these and think about some of the key points that they would like to describe with their dialogue, and even write some of the dialogue itself. You may also like to encourage your students to take photographs of their shot using their tablet or a stills camera and insert these into the one-shot storyboard sheet. This will prepare your students for when they need to illustrate or create photo storyboards for multi-shot films. We'll be looking more closely at multi-shot films next week.
We had a great question from Caroline about encouraging imagination in students so they can come up with interesting ideas for their one-shot films. There are lots of great tools in the downloadables section, think questions that can be given to the students to look at, so they can have a think about previous learning they've done and previous connections. And there's also a film viewing mind map, which contains the 3 C's and 3 S's, which are camera, character, colour, sound, setting and story. Thinking about all of these things is a natural way to encourage imagination, thinking a bit outside of the box. You could also supply a small selection of elements, such as who is appearing in this one-shot film. Are they a particular character or a particular person? What are they doing? Where are they? So thinking about the setting. You could actually supply a couple of these. So it could be a specific character in space. What are they doing? They're trying to get to the other side, something like that. You could also give a really specific brief, if that would help your students, making sure they understand the why, like why are they recording these one-shot films, what's the purpose. Making connections to previous learning is definitely a really important thing for encouraging imagination as well, because they've got that personal connection with it, and it's not just having to think of something brand new on the spot. Also watching different one-shot films, so share the examples that we've shared with you, with your pupils if you like, or watching other short films. There's also an app called Rory's Story Cubes, which is also a set of dice, a physical dice as well, and it just has lots of different things that you can pick to create a story, or just you can put these things in a hat. Thank you for all of your wonderful comments, questions, the films you've uploaded to YouTube. We hope you've enjoyed week 1. Samantha and I look forward to catching up with you again at the beginning of week 3.